Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. First, a question. How many of you get brought into Toastmasters because of being uncomfortable speaking in front of people? That's pretty common. So I'm going to tell a story of a 13-year-old boy that was afraid of his own shadow. It had nothing to do with speaking. He was afraid to get in front of his classmates in the school. And how that 13-year-old boy ended up in the latter part of his career giving 4 and 5 talks a week, being recognized in his industry as one of the top keynote speakers, and traveling the world talking to leaders in his industry. But back to the 13-year-old boy. He had everything going against him. Now, when it comes to those things you can manage and not manage, some things you can't deal with at all. So learning how to take advantage of those things that happen without any control and learning how to control those things and work those things that you control is really key. But picture a 4'11", 150-pounder, and he lived with his grandmother until he was 6. So he didn't have a father figure because his dad died weeks before he was born. He was a pilot in World War II. And his mother remarried at 6 and produced another 3 kids. So he lived in the garage until his senior year in high school. He couldn't afford to have the cool shoes, which back in those days were ox blood with white socks. Today, not so cool, but they were really cool back then. The one thing he had going for him is that he was pretty smart, and he read about a book a day. When he'd go to get on the bus, he would grab the book out of the library and then bring it back the next day and get another book. And almost all of them had to do with the Civil War, which is an interesting combination. But the key to this, and the key to success for everybody, and even this 13-year-old boy who kind of came to this conclusion without any specific guidance, was to step out of your comfort zone. And that's one of the key points of what I want to pass along to you today. And the way he stepped out of his comfort zone was to volunteer to be the kid that brought in the projector, the video thing, those big round deals, and it goes through the machine kind of like this. And if you breathe wrong, it goes... And so you have to figure out how to adjust it. So he had this cart in front of the class, having to figure out how to adjust that thing so that the teacher's video could be shown. That was his first move to try to get in front of people and know that at least he wasn't going to die from that exposure. And in middle school, he took other challenges out of his comfort zone. He led a quiz down team. And Quiz Down in Seattle was a TV show where kids from middle schools would compete against kids from another middle school. There were teams of 4, and they would ask you questions. And his team won. He was lucky enough to be asked, name the 13 schools in the Shoreline School District. And he did. So the other point that I made was you have to learn to take advantage of those things that happen to you that you can't control, but if you take advantage of them, they work for you. And between his 6th grade and his 7th grade, he grew 6 inches. And he didn't gain a pound. So all of a sudden, he was kind of like what they call normal proportions. But he also discovered that he was very athletic. So he went out for sports. And that helped, again, out of the comfort zone. So you may have guessed by now that 13-year-old was me. And I had another thing happen to me. That grandmother that told me when I was young that I needed to wear a bra gave me a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. And Psycho-Cybernetics was designed to provide people with ways to deal with personal problems and create higher goals in your head, because if the higher the goal is in your head, the more achievement you'll be able to achieve. If you are disadvantaged and you don't let yourself speak outside of your comfort zone, you're going to stay there. And Psycho-Cybernetics took him in 1960 to great success after that point. The book really features two key skills that I want to share with you as Toastmasters. The first skill has to do with understanding the stress curve, which is a natural bell curve. And you probably have all taken this in school. If your adrenaline gets you, you get frightened and you move up the curve and it starts to get out of control. When it gets to the top and down the backside, you've lost it. But if you say to yourself when you get into Toastmasters or any other environment, I don't want this fear, I want it to go away completely, it's not going to be successful for you. What you have to have is that fear before the event. You have to feel the adrenaline, you have to allow it to grow, but you have to manage it up the one side of the bell curve so that you have that extra punch, that extra power, that extra skill, whether it's a sporting event or a speaking event. You have to ride that curve. It's like when you're at the ocean on one of those boards and there's a wave. You've got to be right on that wave. If you're off of it, you either go nose down or off the back end and go nowhere. So that's point number one. Point number two is visualization, relaxation technique. Visualization, basically, you can talk to yourself. You don't have to have your eyes closed. I do it part of the time when I'm showering. I'll practice part of my talks in my head. I don't verbalize it. It's all in your head. Or put your head on the pillow at night. Work your opening lines in your head. It's been demonstrated that you can visualize a skill. And I taught it when I coached Little League All-Star team. I'd get the kids down halfway through practice, lay on the grass, relax them, have them close their eyes and talk about and think about whether it's hitting the ball or catching the ball, whatever the skill is, visualize it over and over. And they've proven that 15 minutes of visualization is as good as 15 minutes on the practice field. Because you're doing it right. And every time. And when you're on a practice field, you're lucky if you do it right once. So that's the key. You want to be able to visualize, and that technique of meditation and relaxation that goes with visualization is the same technique you use to keep that adrenaline on the right side of the curve. So if you master both those things, you learn to embrace the fear that you have. When you feel it, welcome it. And I hope you will all enjoy the fear that you feel. That was some